Good evening, Star Pupils. I'm your host, friend, and life coach, Mrs.Divine Awakening. All right, so today I have an important message for you all. Normally I preach meditate, 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 okay? Today I'm here to preach do not meditate, okay? It is very irresponsible for people who know what meditation is, know the power of meditation, and know the importance of meditation to encourage other people to meditate who have no idea what they're about to get into. And a lot of times it's frustrating too, because we have this mindset where we want to save the world. If meditation has served us well, we want to make it serve everyone well. We want to let everyone know about this revolutionary tool that helps not just yourself, but the entire world. Okay, so that's like giving a weapon to a child who doesn't know how to use it. Okay, so I actually woke up today with this understanding that I need to stop doing that. I need to stop stressing meditation, meditation, meditation. I need to just focus on what meditation does for me and do that. So those who have chosen to accept meditation in their life as a practice, those who actively use it and see the difference that it makes in their lives, those are the people who I'm going to continue to stress. Meditate, meditate, meditate. If you already meditated today, meditate some more. Stay in your meditation space. Learn how to mindfully meditate so you can carry meditation with you throughout the day so that your intentions are put out in the world, amplified in a way that's grand and divine. Okay, so I'm going to stress that to you people who already meditate, know what it is, have done it, and have no resistance to it whatsoever. However, if you have resistance toward meditation, you don't want to meditate, heard about it a couple times, and falls off the radar. It looks boring to you, makes you go to sleep, whatever the case is, all these different reasons. I don't have time to meditate. I can't even sit down for 5 minutes and meditate. I don't have 5 minutes to myself. These are the kind of excuses people give. I can't keep my eyes closed. I just don't trust it. What's going to happen when I meditate? These things are ridiculous. Or a good one, it's against my religion to meditate. I'm done arguing. Okay, because you don't argue. I don't argue. As a matter of fact, I was never arguing in the first place. What I was doing was expressing my knowledge, expressing my truth, expressing what has come from me through meditation, regardless of what religion I was in. Okay, because meditation transcends across different religions. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be one religion to meditate or in a religion to meditate, or it's not saying you're Buddhist or anything like that. Okay. My earring's messing up. Okay, there we go. So I'm stressing only for those who have no resistance toward meditation to meditate, because that is all we need. We only need those chosen few who understand the power of meditation, and that is what they choose to do. And those of you who have accepted this in your life, who have accepted this as a role, who's accepted this as a practice, please continue to do so. You are the ones who I'm speaking to when I say meditate every day. Meditate, meditate, meditate. You are the ones who I'm speaking to, because you are the ones who matter. You are the ones who are intentionally putting forth this energy that we need right now for the universe. Y'all see the times we are in. Y'all see what's happening around us. You see how the whole world can be affected by a few things, right? So imagine the power of the whole world being affected by those who meditate intentionally and without resistance. Okay, so right now I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you should not meditate. So if you have any resistance for meditation, it is my responsibility to let you know we don't need you right now. Okay. We don't need you. Stay in your space that you're at. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue to manifest unconsciously. Continue to allow others to manifest through you and to program you. Continue to do that, because it's not responsible of me to suggest anything different to you right now until I give you these warnings. Okay. So reason number one why you should not meditate. If you do not know your worth. Okay, if you are the type of person who likes to pinpoint to other people and say whose fault it is that you didn't do something. Oh, I couldn't make it on time to the wedding because my husband was taken all day and we started running late. Okay. Or I couldn't do that because Judy always takes my money when I go to school, and that's why I didn't have any money when I got home, or something. Like, just always giving your power to other people. It's always that person or this thing or that thing why you don't do something. Okay. I was too sleepy because I was taking care of the baby. Whenever you are allowing someone else or something else to take your power away from you, and you can't see, you refuse to see, you do not accept responsibility on how it's actually your power. It's about you and what you choose to do, despite all situations, despite anything that may come up. You choose to give your power away. That means you don't know your worth. And if you don't know your worth, we don't need you meditating. Number 2, if you are afraid of the truth, do not meditate. If you are afraid of the truth, do not meditate. When you meditate, you begin to actively seek the truth. And the truth is blunt. The truth is real. The truth hurts. You cannot get away from the truth. So once you seek the truth, it will open up new doors, new realms, new avenues, and it may even transcend you past your religion and the things that your religious teaching. Okay. And that's a scary thought for a lot of people, especially if you identify yourself with your religion. If you are Judy and you are Christian, then guess what? It's going to be a hard pill for you to swallow when you start to see some of these things that you believe to be true, not the truth. So if you are afraid of the truth, we don't need you to meditate. If you are afraid to transcend past your religious teachings, past any teachings you may know, even what they've taught you in school, if you are afraid of that, then you keep doing what you're doing. We don't need you to meditate. Number 3, if you can't handle criticism or critique, then we don't need you to meditate, because meditation is going to force you into that role of introspection. You are going to be in an observer seat of even yourself. So not just are you going to be able to come outside of yourself and see what is happening around you for the truth. You're going to be able to come outside yourself and see what you're doing. What is your truth? What are your habits? What are things that you need to change? It's going to be like a constant review of yourself. So a lot of these techniques they give us to rate things outside of us, like, oh, you bought a new shirt today. We want you to give us a review. How was your shirt? 4-star rating, 5-star rating, so on. These are the things that you should be doing for yourself. And when you start to meditate, you will start to review yourself. How did I handle that situation? Well, I would give myself 3 stars. Okay, what could I have done better? What I could have done better is I could have really respected the space that person was in instead of forcing my personal spiritual beliefs on them. Okay, so these are the types of things that happen when people are meditating. They are always reviewing themselves to see how they showed up. Now, even just, can I be better? Can I do better? But literally, how did I show up? Without judgment, without saying, oh, I did a great job or I did a bad job. None of that. Without pinpointing or the blame or anyone or anything outside of themselves. But literally, how did I show up? So if you can't handle criticism, self-criticism, constructive criticism, critique or review of yourself and other things, then we don't need you to meditate. Okay. Number 4, we don't need you to meditate if you're not ready to become a better person. If you are not ready to become a better person, we don't need you to meditate. When you meditate, you are starting to live a life that you want to be better. You're starting to live a life where you are that better version of yourself. So when it's going to be self, meet your higher self. Okay. So once you meet your higher self doesn't go anywhere. It's like that Jiminy Cricket consciousness that's right there next to you. It's going to keep talking to you, keep letting you know, keep showing you that it's there so that you are, like I said, that review, that self-criticism or that self-review that you do, it's going to happen at the weirdest times. It's going to happen almost constantly. It's going to happen even when you're telling yourself, I'm about to go in the refrigerator and get something to drink. Okay. You're going to hear that voice say, oh, juice. Yeah, you can have some juice, but how much water did you have today? Okay. So if you're not ready to become a better person, we don't need you to meditate. That same person's going to be. So I used to be the person, I'm talking on me for a second, who would litter. I'd be like, oh, my car is dirty. I would literally take my stuff on my car and just throw it. I would litter. That's the kind of stuff I did. Why? Because I wasn't connected to my spiritual self. So I definitely wasn't connected to nature. I did not understand the effect that I had on nature, the world. I didn't realize that I am the world. Okay. I didn't realize I am the earth. So I'm littering to clean my car, right? Because material things are more important to us when we're not meditating. We're not in that state of the inner world being more important than the outer world. So me cleaning my car, I would literally litter and scatter my garbage throughout the earth. Okay. When meditating and when I come to the realization of who I am and my connection to the earth, to the world, my responsibilities, my role, there's no way I can litter anymore. If I see litter across my path, I'm going to stop and pick it up. I'm not going to worry about, do I need gloves or whatever? It depends, what I actually see. But for the most part, I'm going to grab it up, trust in the fact that there's a garbage right here. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to wash my hands and I'll be clean. I'm fine. So that's just how much my mindset has changed. And I accepted my role of becoming a better person, right? So number 4, again, if you are not ready to become a better person, we don't need you to meditate. Number 5, if you are unwilling to accept responsibility, we don't need you to meditate. If you are unwilling to accept responsibility, we don't need you to meditate. Okay, because once you start meditation, you have opened what they say to be a can of worms. So I'm not going to explain like a can of worms. What I'm going to say is, once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. Okay. And if you do go back to sleep, you can't go back to sleep comfortably because you're going to keep stirring. Something's going to keep nagging at you because you know better. Once you know better, you are forced to do better, or not forced. It is in your best interest to do better because this is why you're meditating, right? This is what we're hoping you're meditating for, which is why I say, if this is not the reasons why you're meditating, if you have resistance to meditation, do not meditate. Okay. Because once you wake up, you're going to have a lot more responsibilities that are in your plate. Like I said, no more littering for me. Okay. That's my responsibility. Okay. When I learned what meditation is and how it opens my world towards spirituality, I'm going to learn other things. I'm going to, be in communication with my ancestors. I'm going to be watching my subconscious mind. I'm going to be watching what's being programmed into me. I'm going to be watching how I speak to other people. I'm going to be watching how I interpret messages I'm getting from others, including my children. I'm going to have more patience. I'm going to make sure my children know that their opinion matters. And in fact, I value it a lot because they are more connected to the divine than we are right now as adults. So my children will see their role, see their importance. And that's not something I was taught. I was literally taught that children are children and that's it. Your opinion doesn't matter until you're grown. You're not grown. You're not grown. That's all I ever heard. So I didn't feel like what I had to say or anyone else had to say was important. But as soon as I turned 18 and got grown, I showed them how grown I was. I said everything that was on my heart. Okay. So once you start meditating, you have to embrace this new stuff that you're learning. Because it doesn't go away. You can't understand that you're getting programmed by watching TV and the certain types of TV you watch and actually see that the things that are happening around you are because of you, because of the things that you're intaking. Now, yes, you have the luxury of being asleep, the luxury of watching these television shows or listening to this music and doing things that are going to create chaos around your world. And when you have that luxury, you don't understand why things are happening around you. But once you start meditating, you start to accept that responsibility that everything that's happening on my outer world is because of what's happening in my inner world. Then now you have opened your eyes and you cannot shut them. You can try to shut them. You can say, oh, I realize that when I eat meat, I am taking on the stresses of that animal. So if they killed that animal without blessing it, if they killed the animal in a torturous type of way, that animal experienced extreme stress and they released that stress into their bloodstream before they passed over. And now I'm eating that flesh of this animal, but it's my favorite, it's chicken or whatever the case may be. And now I see the same kind of stresses either within me through some kind of disease or something that can happen from eating meat, or outside of me, where I see chaos around the world that I live in, people killing each other, the aggression and things like that. Once I understand the connection between what I eat to, meaning what I put in my body, to what is happening outside of me, meaning I'm treating animals a certain way. So yes, I'm going to see my people being treated a certain way. Once I realize that, it's going to be very hard for me to eat another piece of chicken. Once I understand my truth, because through meditation, you will start to understand that. You will start to have these connections. You will start to see things outside of yourself that other people will think are crazy, but you know how to interpret to mean that you are understanding what's happening in your inner world better, where you're able to detect it on the outer world before it can do anything that you don't necessarily want it to do. All right. So number 5, if you are unwilling to accept responsibility, if you are unwilling to wake up and stay woke, then we don't need you to meditate. Okay. Number 6, if you aren't willing to go against the grain and set your own path ablazing, we don't need you to meditate. If you are unwilling to go against the grain and set your own path, we don't need you to meditate. When you start meditating, again, you're forced into introspection. And then you are starting to realize that that Christ-like journey that you've been set upon, that you feel like you need to maintain, or you're trying to understand, that the understanding is that you are that Christ-like person who needs to have your own righteous journey here in this world. And once you start to understand that, you have to move the way you move. The way you move is going to be different than the way other people around you move. The way you move is going to be different than the way how I move. The way you move is going to be different than the way that other people of the conscious community move. Okay? Because we're all unique. We're all here with our own agenda. We have our own mission we're here to accomplish. Okay? So if you are not that person who was willing to go against the grain, who was willing to say, okay, I tried, I loved, me and my friends, we grew up and we loved dancing, getting drunk at the bars, right? We love getting drunk at the bars. And now I'm realizing that drinking allows my energy level to lower, where lower forms of energy can attach to me, like literally spirits and things like that. Even people can black out, and now their body is getting overtaken, and a lower entity is having a joyride within their body, which is why they don't remember what happened when they blacked out. And this is why I'm choosing to actively and consciously not drink anymore. Okay. So I'm setting my own path, saying I'm no longer drinking. So now when I go hang out with my friends, right, they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? Are you pregnant? Why are you not drinking? Oh, you're no fun. You're not drinking, you know. But this is something I have come to understand, that I have to go against what others are doing. Okay. I have to find other ways to have fun. I have to find other ways to express myself. If I can no longer dance because I'm not drunk, then that means that the music wasn't that good anyway. Okay. So meditation helps you to realize what you have to do that's different from those who are around you. So I'm not saying I'm better than you because I'm not drinking. What I'm saying is that my path is leading me toward the path of knowing that I want to be in full control. I want to keep my energy level at a higher energy, and I would prefer if lower entities do not connect to me. Okay? Perfectly. So again, number 6, if you are not willing to go against the grain and set your own trail, we do not need you to meditate. Number 7, if you are unwilling to control your habits, we do not need you to meditate. If you are unwilling to control your habits, we do not need you to meditate. When you are meditating, you start to learn and become aware of yourself, where you're asking yourself questions now. You're not just asking questions of the world. Why is the sky blue? No, you are asking, why am I attracting grief around me? You know, why am I attracting men who I feel like ain't shit? You know, why am I attracting people around me who are just so disrespectful? You know, I'm going to be asking myself, why am I attracting something? What is it that I'm doing to cause something? Why is it so hard for me to lose weight or something? So I'm going to be asking myself these questions. And as I ask myself these questions, I'm going to become more and more and more aware of myself. The more aware of yourself you become, the more you start to study yourself and see your habits, right? So that's what a journal is about. A journal is about writing things down so that when you go back and look at it, you reflect, you're studying yourself, you have a self-review. That's a book to study yourself, okay? When you start to study yourself, you start to detect habits and realize how some of these habits serve us. Okay, yeah, I'm organized. That's great. That's going to help me for my business. Going to help me with me homeschooling. That's going to help me with a lot of the avenues I'm going down. Okay, but that doesn't help me for when something throws me off my schedule. Okay, so maybe I got to stop trying to be in control of everything and allow myself to go with the flow with things. So I can have my schedule, but if something goes off course, understand that that's still part of the schedule and that my schedule is not the highest schedule, but at least me trying to, or at least me attempting to create a schedule for myself is showing that I put some thought and care into it. However, I understand that the divine schedule is the schedule to be followed and to go with the flow of even more so than my own. Okay. Because that is mine at a higher level than my understanding. Okay. So when I start to see my habits are controlling, or I start to see that I often eat a late night meal, but don't want to get up and run, or don't exercise enough, or don't drink enough water to digest, whatever the case is, I start to see how my habits are what is the problem, how my habits aren't serving me. And that's what's producing this outward effect or inner effect within my body that I do not desire. Then I am in charge of doing something about my habits. I'm in charge of breaking those habits and resetting new ones. Okay. And to reset a habit, it takes a lot of work. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of energy. So if you're one of those people who aren't willing to think, oh, I can't even think of what I'm supposed to do right now, or yes, I know I'm supposed to, but I can't even think right now. I just don't. It's so exhausting to think. You're unwilling to control your habits. We don't need you to meditate, okay? Because you have to think. You have to think about yourself and the things you're doing to get the things that you want. So if you are unwilling to control your habits and to take ownership of the habits and what they are producing, then we don't need you to meditate. You will be an irresponsible meditator and we don't need it, okay? Number 8. If you are unwilling to ascend, if you are unwilling to lose friendships or lose some of those close connections, whether they be family connections, work-related connections, whatever, business connections, if you are unwilling to ascend and disconnect from people who are not at your ascension level, then we don't need you to meditate. Okay. Once you start meditating, you start reflecting on that inner world and start to see how important it is for your outer world. You're going to understand that when you set your own path and you start making these changes within yourself, that everybody's not going to be in alignment with the way you're moving and what you're doing. And that's okay. If you can't understand that that's okay, and you're going to be sad if your best friend, Carla, is no longer your best friend because now you're into honoring yourself and your race, and she wasn't okay with that. It made her uncomfortable. Or now you're not drinking and all y'all do is party and drink together. Okay. And now you're talking about meditating and self-reflecting and saying, yo, I was wrong. I was wrong when I said this to that person. I'm going to go apologize. But she don't like that person and she don't want to apologize. And now she mad at you because you and so call yourself being cool. Okay. When you start to see things like that, then you need to understand that that's a part of meditation. A part of meditation is that you're going to ascend. And if that person is trying to control your ascension and trying to tell you what they feel you should and should not do, or getting mad at you every time you do something and it has an effect on you where you're reluctant to do what you're seeing that you should be doing just because someone else is threatening your friendship or you feel the tension in your relationship, then you need to understand that meditation is going to keep causing this resistance to come up with people who are supposed to fall off your bandwagon. When you're supposed to have people fall off of you because you are ascending past that, you have to accept that role. If you cannot ascend because you are afraid of losing friends, you are afraid of even being by yourself sometimes, because that's what it can cost you. Not even just lose friends, it can cost a relationship. If you and your partner are the turn-up partner and all y'all do is party and club, and now you're talking about you don't want to go to the club because it's a lower form of energy and you want to keep vibing high in your high vibrations. and that person who you're the person you're with doesn't understand that kind of stuff or doesn't respect that kind of stuff, then there's going to become a disconnect. Okay. And some people can allow you to grow and accept your journey for what your journey is, and vice versa. And some people can't. They look at it like, oh, well, if you can't do these things with me, then I'm going to have to get somebody who can. Okay. So you have to be willing to let go of the things that are no longer serving you, and the people, relationships that are no longer serving you. And it's interesting because a lot of times it's those ones that are really close to us. It's like those that are the closest to us are kind of those who are holding us in check. They are checkmating us and not allowing us to ascend subconsciously because of our connection to them. Okay. So if you are not willing to ascend, if you are not willing to lose these relationships and these friendships, if you are part of that club who is saying that, you know, me and Carrie, we're best friends, and men ain't shit. Okay, we got our men ain't shit. And yeah, every time we get together, we're gonna talk about how these dudes ain't shit and F a dude, you know, things like that. We in and no feelings, ENT. You know, that's what you do. That's how you and Carrie connect. And then you start to meditate and realize, oh, it's not that they're not shit, I'm not shit, or I'm picking men who aren't shit for whatever reason. Let me work on that. And then once I start working on that, I'm going to start attracting men that are shit. I mean, that are shit. I'm going to start attracting men that are about something. And the more I keep talking about men ain't shit, I'm going to keep seeing that in my universe. So now I got to change my dialogue with Carrie. While Carrie's coming over here to high-five me because she found out something else to say men ain't shit about. And I realize I'm not engaging in that kind of activity because that's different from the vibration that I am going after. That's different from the vibration that I am in. Then Carrie's going to come to high-five, and I'm going to let Carrie know, you know what, actually, that is that guy you're talking about. There are plenty of examples of men who are chivalrous. There are plenty of examples of men who are faithful. There are plenty of examples of men who respect their wives or who respect their girlfriends. And that's what I'm after, Carrie. So I can no longer talk to you about why they ain't shit. Matter of fact, Carrie, let's go and talk. Let's go watch this show, because this show is about, you know, good relationships, good men. Okay. So Carrie might not be on that same bandwagon because now you have created a bond with Carrie through something that's of a lower vibration. And now as you're ascending higher past that vibration because you don't want that to show up anymore, you want something better for yourself, you may lose Carrie. So number 8, if you're not ready to ascend and lose those friendships and relationships that are no longer serving you, then we don't need you to meditate. Number 9, if you like to argue, then we don't need you to meditate. Again, if you like to argue, we don't need you to meditate. Now, people aren't realizing that the reason why they argue is because their brain, it activates their brain. A lot of people are walking around thinking that they're thinking, but they're not really thinking. Okay. I used to work a job where I can do that job. I can do 3 times the number of cases they told me to do while on Netflix, while talking on my phone, while taking a whole bunch of breaks and stuff like that, like completely not engaged. You know why? Because what they had me doing was not me thinking, did not activate my mind. So you may think you're thinking, because sometimes I did think I was thinking, but when I was realizing all I was doing, there was no way that work was captivating the power that was within my mind, because that's why my mind was striving to do all these other things outside of me. So if you're one of those people who like to multitask, you like to be playing Candy Crush on your phone while watching World Star on your tablet and having the TV on to have our music videos on, that shows that you are not thinking. That shows that your mind is asking you to do more with it and you're not doing more with it. And this same kind of feeling comes from the activation of your mind sensation, how you feel when your mind lights up, when your adrenaline is going, your body, your chemicals in your body are moving around and things are happening. That kind of adrenaline comes from, or that kind of mind activation comes from arguments. So a lot of times you see people arguing with each other back and forth, whether it's on the internet. I know I used to be one of them. I used to live for people to say something to me online because I would stay up all night. Like, did I hear a ding? Somebody on my phone? Somebody said this? And like, I'd be ready for a rebuttal, be ready to say something back to them. It didn't matter what time of night it was. It didn't matter what I was doing. I would stop to respond because that sensation you get when you are live in action. And it's like, go, your turn. And for us, people who look like me, a lot of times that's what we do, right? We roast each other. We talk stuff to each other. We have these little comebacks just because, like, we stay ready. We stay ready for if anybody got something to say, period. And I don't know what that is within us that makes us like that, but it activates our brain away. When we're in a live argument, a lot of times we say things we don't even understand what we say. I heard somebody say that they will spit on somebody's child, y'all. I heard them say that I will spit on your child and on your baby. And I'm like, this is somebody I knew, like, no, you wouldn't. Yes, the F I would. Ooh. And I'm like, dang, this person is such in a rage. They just going so hard that they have let something hijack them where their level of consciousness is talking right now. And their level of consciousness that is talking is not a level of consciousness that is somewhere that I want to attach myself to. Okay, this is the state this person is in. And if they can't, and they weren't even aware of what they said. So in the moment they were telling me, yes, I said it. Yeah, I don't care. And I'll say it again. But when everything calmed down, and I told that person, again, you said you would spit on so-and-so's baby. Come on now, you got kids. And I wish and if somebody did try that, you know exactly what you would do. And then they said, I didn't say that. I'm like, yes, you did. You said that. So a lot of times when we're arguing, we're activating our minds and we're showing our true level of energy, where our energy lies. You're showing which chakra we are operating out of. And a lot of times they're not from the heart space and above, right? And so if we're not operating from the heart space and above, which is what you get when you meditate, you activate higher levels of your chakras, then if you're not there, you are spewing out these lower energies that aren't conducive toward a better world. Okay? So back to what I was saying, we like to argue because it activates our brains. It makes us think. We are live, thinking, ready at any second to respond. And so arguments serve to activate our brain. If we don't understand that we can activate our brain in other ways, if we don't understand that consciously working with meditation and things and reflecting and changing your inner self and changing your habits is a better way of activating your brain and using your brain to work for you, then we don't need you to meditate if you're not going to understand that. If you rather just argue, then we don't need you to meditate. As you meditate, you're going to come across a lot of knowledge and information, and you may say, well, I'll just argue about that. I'll argue and tell people to meditate. I'll argue and tell people this new knowledge I have and these truths that I'm coming across, and I'll tell them everything that they learned that was false. Information does not need to be defended, okay? You don't argue about information. If anything, you're just going to keep seeking your knowledge. You're not going to argue information. And you're going to understand, too, that the more you learn, the more the information is tweaked even more. I mean, you could argue, like me, I took my personal stance of encouraging everybody to meditate. And now I'm realizing that wasn't even the best path. And so now I'm retracting that by saying, actually, we don't need y'all to meditate. There is nothing out here that convinces me that the job of me or anyone else is to get the whole world to meditate. Now, that would be lovely. However, it's not needed. That's how powerful we are with those who are manifesting without resistance. We do not need the entire world to do this. So it's actually going to be a disservice, actually, if we have people out here who are meditating irresponsibly, who are meditating with resistance, who are meditating and being unwilling to do that work. All right. So if you like to argue, your points, if you like to be right all the time, and you like to show everybody that part of your ego is the fact that you know it all and things like that, and no one can teach you anything. If you're closed-minded, when no one can teach you anything because you're ready to argue with them anytime they have something to teach you or something to say, then we don't need you to meditate. We need meditation for those who are open-minded. So if you're not open-minded, you like to argue, we don't need you to meditate. And finally, number 10, if you love your ego, if you associate yourself with your ego, we do not need you to meditate. You and your ego can stay in the plane that you're at, and we will do this without you, okay? If you love your ego and you attach yourself with your ego identity, then we don't need you to meditate. If you feel like you are that person who is all about Black Lives Matter and that's your stance, and if there's anything not black, you don't want it. If it's white, we don't want it. If it's white bread, it ain't right. If it's white sugar, it ain't white. It ain't right. It ain't white. It ain't right. If that's your stance, You identify yourself with your beliefs. You identify yourself with the way you look. You identify yourself with what you have. You identify yourself with what you thought. You identify yourself with anything besides the fact that you are ever evolving, ever knowledgeable, ever discovering yourself. Then we don't need you to meditate, because we are constantly changing as we meditate. We are constantly changing ourselves, our stance, our lives, our environment. This new normal stuff that people are experiencing right now, why did it not affect the people who already are in a meditative state? Why did it not affect the people who already have taken steps to live their truth, to who have gone on their path that might be separate from other people's paths? Why has it not affected them in the same kind of way with everything that's going on in this world? Because we are used to changing our normal. There is no new normal for us. New normal is the norm. New normal is the way of life. We are forced to see ourselves in a way where we have to change and we want to change. So even when we meditating, it may be when I started meditating. So what I'm saying is we're always finding this balance, right? Part of what you understand when you start to meditate is that it's about balance. Everything you do is about balance. So yes, I want to meditate and be in the spiritual world and focus on my spiritual self, right? Because I'm always doing things to focus on my body and my mind. I might be educated or reading and studying and things like that. I might be working out or eating right. But what am I doing for my soul, right? Mind, body, and soul. What am I doing for my soul? So once you realize that these things are not balanced and you start to meditate and have some balance between your spiritual work and the work on the physical plane, then your balance is going to change again. And again and again. So my original balance was I never meditated, right? So me just doing 5 to 15 minutes of meditation a day was great because I hadn't done none. So that actually was my balance at the moment between not doing none and doing 5 to 15. And now that I have evolved from that, have changed things because of that, it's no longer going to serve me like it did for me to just do 15 minutes. Now, I'm doing all this outward work because, again, meditation makes you look within. So now you're going to be working on yourself. You're going to see the things within that you need to change. And so you're going to be changing things outside of you as well. So now that 15 minutes is no longer a good balance. Now it's not balanced anymore because I have evolved. Once you evolve, it requires you to find your new balance and find your new balance again. And that's what we call norm. We call what's normal our balance or our routine, okay? So you're always going to be changing up your routine. You're always going to be finding a new normal. You're always going to be rebalancing yourself and the things around you because that is what life is about. It's constant evolution. Right now, we are in the 4th dimension, you guys, okay? So number 10, if you love your ego and you are unwilling to separate yourself from your ego, we do not need you to meditate, okay? So I just gave you 10 reasons why we do not need you to meditate. And why if you meditate right now with any resistance at all, you are doing a disservice to those who are meditating, actually. Okay? Because now our meditations are going toward countering yours because yours ain't where it needs to be for us to do what we got to do out here. Okay? So when you meditate, you are in the business of transmuting energy. Okay? And to transmute that energy, you want to transmute it for the higher good. And you want to transmute it with balance, okay? Balance is the key. So like I was saying, we're in the 4th dimension, y'all. We're in the 4th dimension. Everybody's talking about going from 3D to 5D, not realizing that right now we're in the 4th. And the 4th is through us, right? Because we are love. And that's our heart chakra. That's our heart space. We are in the 4th dimension. Therefore, we are transmuting against all time and space. Things that we are manifesting, things that we have been meditating on, things that we have been trying to do for a long time are happening really quickly, okay? Because time is an illusion, right? And this is that moment, this is this dimension when you realize that time is an illusion. When you realize that time is an illusion, you realize that even thoughts, as soon as they come across, can be manifested, right? And that's a scary thing for people who don't understand meditation. It's a scary thing for those people who understand meditation to understand manifestation, meaning that if we have a bunch of people out here who are literally able to manifest just through thought, And they are doing so with resistance. They are doing so in their lower forms. They are doing so without wanting to shed their ego. They are doing so without wanting to, with liking to argue. They are doing so without wanting to ascend. They are doing stuff without being willing to control their habits. They are doing so while they're still following the path of someone else of a lower energy, or someone else who is not them. If they are still not willing to accept responsibility, if they're still not willing to become a better person, if they're still not able to handle self-criticism, if they're still afraid of the truth, and if they don't know their worth, then these are people who are manifesting more things in this world that aren't going to serve us. Okay, so don't meditate. If any of those things I described as you, do not meditate. Please do not meditate. I'm begging you, and I don't beg. Okay, I don't beg, so I'm not begging you, but don't meditate. Okay, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing that stuff you're doing. Keep being who you are. Keep showing up exactly who you are. I respect your path. Stay on your path that you're on. Do not meditate. Okay, because we're in the fourth dimension. All those of us who realize where we're at right now, that means that you're actually on a different dimension right now. That means that you're on 5 or above if you realize that you're in the fourth dimension, because that is where we are right now. We are literally manifesting things left and right from thought alone. People have been waking up to the fact that our phones have been recording us and saying, oh, I mentioned the fact that I was looking into my trust fund at my lawyer's office, and look at this. My phone, the first thing that says when I open it up on Google is trust fund work or something like that. Okay, yeah, duh, phones have been listening, right? So they've already been using our voices to help us to manifest. Now they're using our thoughts as well, or they have been using our thoughts. And this is something I realized a long time ago. People have been realizing that when they say things, here it is popping up on their phone. I'm realizing that when I think things, my phone picks up on it. And it's funny because it picks up on it, a lot of times I let it know it didn't pick up the right thing because it was trying to pick up on it. I'm not sure how it's catching it, but I know that there is warfare that goes on electronically, right? And so we are electrical beings, so we're not immune to it, right? It's for us. That's why it's created. I digress. Anyway, so we are on the fourth dimension right now. We are transcending across time and space. Things that we thought would take us years to accomplish are not going to take us years to accomplish. Things that we thought we had to be close up with somebody to do, we don't have to do that. And so this is the illusion, right? Because right now, even with the whole space type of thing, right? We are not connected to other people the way we were before because we are doing a lot of things virtually, online, or in weird hours and things like that. So we're realizing that space is an illusion. We don't need our office space to do a lot of our work. We don't need to be right next to somebody to feel the connection. You know, we can do this through all types of things. In fact, you can feel somebody glaring at you or a camera watching you, and they're in a camera using technology. So do not feel for 1 second that this is taking your connection away from anybody else. If anything, this connection is just as real as if I was sitting right next to you in your kitchen or in your living room having a conversation with you. Okay, you might not be able to physically touch me, but our energies can still touch just like that. Okay, so we are in the fourth dimension right now. And for those of us, like I said, who are aware of what the fourth dimension is and detect it all around us, that means you're actually in a higher dimension. You need to realize where you're at. Yes, I'm talking to myself. But with us being as a collective whole in the fourth dimension, remember the importance of it. Do not skip over it and just keep looking toward the fifth dimension because you will not understand where you're at. So everybody focus on the fifth dimension is taking you from the present moment. The present moment, a lot of us are in the fourth dimension, okay? It never went from 3D to 5D. You are in the fourth dimension. And through meditation, it will help you to recognize where you're at. It will help you to stay present and will help you to learn everything you need and to transmute the things you need to help you when you ascend to higher levels of energy, to higher levels, to higher dimensions, okay, to different realms. So if you are a meditator, if you are someone who is opposite of all those things that I named in this video, then continue to meditate, continue to reflect on where you are at, continue to realize the fourth dimension so you can realize the dimension that you are in or that you are transitioning to. So again, I gave you 10 reasons why I ask that you do not meditate if you're not ready for meditation. And those of you who are meditating, star pupils, continue to do so we continue to raise that vibration. Okay? Vibe high, star pupils. Peace.